Thank you, Minister, for coming in here today to speak with us on this new Higher Education Authority Bill. We have seen a transformation of the landscape of third level over the last number of years. The creation of the brand new Department of Further and Higher Education, the focus on third level, which is absolutely crucial. The development of technological universities across this region to drive innovation in our new campus towns as well as our cities all across the country. And it makes third level qualifications to degree, master and PhD level now more accessible for people all over. Today's announcement, Minister, as well of additional places at third level is welcome, especially after the increases that each of our HEIs delivered over the last 2 years. Absolutely incredible when you consider they were at the pin of their collar. There has been such work, I suppose, within, Minister, the department, within the HEIs to actually deliver this. The expansion of third level, I know, Minister, you've mentioned that it's targeting college places as well as the apprenticeship programme. And I suppose one thing that I've really, that we've focused on, and it's been such a target through your department, is further and higher education, and how important it is to have that now, because if we don't have opportunities for people to continue under further and higher education, they could also achieve their degrees. There's no longer just that traditional path that you always speak of, just direct college. We need to understand that there are so many people that sometimes can't afford the costs of going to college. And that can be travel, it can be rent, it can be people travelling for hours on end. I studied in Coleraine, and we talked a lot about transport and buses. That was an 8-hour journey. 2 buses, a train and another bus to get from Ballinasloe to Galway, then to get a bus to Sligo, then to go over to Derry and then to get over to Coleraine and Portstewart. Students do this. Students travel, students put in the hours, but Minister, we have to show that there's more accessibility, and through the technological universities and campuses, we now can do that. Minister, I really like the fact that there is IT, architecture and construction, nursing, engineering, education and welfare that's now part of this apprenticeship programme, and 16 new apprenticeships that have been rolled out. We also got a breakdown. I know it doesn't include the medical places, medical student places, but I really want to acknowledge the work of the new technological universities that have come into being, that are really delivering here. And I know our HEIs have been doing that over the last couple of years. So, Minister, now we're reviewing the structure under this HEA bill. The core objectives of the HEA legislation here are, of course, promoting and supporting our higher education institutes. It's about excellence. It's excellence in teaching, learning and research, and that's down to investment by our government, but also it includes investment from non-exchequer areas. We need to ensure that our institutions are able to take in income from international students, and we know that was such a loss over the 2 years of lockdown. Also, through Horizon Europe, through international funding programmes that rewards success at an international peer review competitive level. We also need to promote and safeguard the interests of students, advance equality, diversity and inclusion in higher education. And I really want to point to a lot of work that's been done by our HEIs, particularly in NUI Galway under the consent framework. I think that's been absolutely crucial in terms of tackling an awful lot of areas when it comes to challenges that we're seeing in our third level sector, that our HEIs are actually taking the lead now and rolling it out, and particularly having an evidence base around that, so that we have better and safer places for our students and for our staff in HEIs. I think the accountability framework is very important. I know that I've spoken with the Irish Universities Association. I know that, Minister, as you have spoken in your opening statement, that there are 179 amendments, if that was correct, that you have engaged over a long consultation process and period, and that this has been going on through a number of governments and departments and so on. So it's absolutely crucial, I suppose, that the voice of all stakeholders is heard, that it's engaged with, but also that we come out with a piece of legislation here that is going to really work for us. And it's going to work for us here in Ireland, because we want our institutions here to be world class. They need to be world class. The legislation that we have currently is not fit for purpose. This HEA bill needs to come into place. It needs to come into play right now. I know, Minister, that there is an amount of work, a body of work done by so many, all of our HEIs, the stakeholders that have been involved. But if we do not crave success and excellence, if there is not a sense of competition between our technological universities and our HEIs, we need to reach those rankings again. We need to ensure that our peer-reviewed system that's been set up by a number of agencies here, through Science Foundation Ireland, through IRC, through SCAI, that we are rewarding and supporting as much as possible those research teams that are achieving success. And we cannot do that until we have the investment in place. When we have the investment in place, that universities in turn also have the opportunities to bring in further income based on that government investment. It's really crucial that the reputation of the higher education sector and the international reputation is something that's aligned. That as a government, I suppose, as our representatives, as our minister, our department, our HEIs, that we're all aligned in what we want to see and what we see as success for the third level sector. And success is in many different forms. It's 200,000 people achieving qualifications. It's Ireland ranking high in terms of innovation. It is our research teams excelling and pulling and drawing down research funding, building research teams. If we don't see that happening at every level, in every section of our third level, that is where I would say, right, now we need to come back, Minister. There is going to be a lot of monitoring. There's going to be a lot of review of this legislation. And we need to show that it is fit for purpose. And we will be talking through all of these sections as we move through. Minister, I suppose just some of the points that I really want to highlight, that the student voice has been included. I really appreciate that that has been something that we've seen particularly at secondary school level during the lockdown, the pandemic, but also that we're bringing this through now at third level as well. The competency-based nature of the governing boards, again, going to be crucial to support our HEIs where there are gaps, that the competency-based board will be able to achieve that. Minister, the areas, I suppose, where we've spoken about, and I know that the IUA have raised, are areas in relation to the Chief Executive of the Higher Education Authority, and I suppose how we're going to be looking at the financial nature. So the CEO's role, I suppose, is under the funding conditions set out for each of our HEIs, and that there is able to be a quick and speedy response in terms of funding, but that there's also an appeals process and board approval for a lot of other measures when it's considered what's going to be done in terms of the outcomes of any type of review. It's absolutely crucial as well, I think, when we see that the policies that have been developed by the HEA also include a public consultation section, and that public consultation will allow all stakeholders to feed into these policies that will be developed to help improve the sector for all stakeholders, and also that we're able to, I suppose, in the final part, under the appeals board, that it is crucial that that three-person appeals board, I know the amendments have been taken on board in terms of the 10 years for the barrister's experience and the solicitor's experience. I know that we are also looking at ensuring that someone who's on that appeals board has knowledge of the Irish sector when it comes to third level. It is very important that, of course, it can be somebody from an international background, but they need to have knowledge of the Irish third level landscape. We are very different to many other countries. You look at the UK is no longer in Brexit now. It's no longer pulling down non-exchequer funding from Europe. You look at the US, they have the NSF, they have the NIH, National Science Foundation, National Institutes of Health. Again, very, very different model to what we have in Ireland. It's absolutely crucial that anyone who's involved in the appeals process really sees what is needed here. Minister, my time is up. I just want to say that this bill, this legislation is needed. It's absolutely crucial because we want a world-class third level sector. That will only happen when we have this legislation in place to support our HEIs. Garmagas.